Hello there, and welcome to this introductory video where we're looking at the beginner level knowledge for Makashi Form 2. The first thing we need to go over is identifying what is your primary hand and what is your offhand. Makashi is mostly going to be a one-handed form, so whichever hand is your primary hand is going to be the hand that you're going to hold your lightsaber in. So I am right-handed, I use my right hand for everything. I'm going to hold my lightsaber with my right hand. If I were left-handed, it would be with my left hand. All right, so now that you know your primary hand, we're going to look at your primary foot. That foot should point forward in the direction that you're holding your lightsaber. For Makashi, your body is pretty much sideways because it gives you a smaller profile, which means less area for your opponent to hit. So you're going to have your primary foot pointed in the same direction as your lightsaber. Your off foot, which is going to match the hand not in use, should be perpendicular. That means that the 2 feet here should make about a 90-degree angle. It's going to be the opposite. This is going to give us really good balance, and we want to slightly bend at the knees here and make sure that your feet are about shoulder width apart. So you should have a stance like this if you are right-handed, or oppositely, if you are left-handed, you should have a stance like this. So when you're moving with Makashi, if you're advancing forward, you will lead with your front foot. So for example, I would step forward like this and then immediately answer that to bring my back foot forward. If I'm retreating, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to lead with my back foot and then bring my front foot forward. One of the most important things that you want to avoid is crossing your legs. If at any point you cross your legs, you will be at your most imbalanced during that point. Now, sometimes you will want to rotate, which means you're going to turn around, or sometimes you're going to want to strafe, which means you're going more horizontally. In these situations, you are also going to want to lead with your back foot. So for example, if I'm rotating towards the camera, I would first turn with my back foot, and then I will adjust my front foot so that I'm now facing the camera. If I wanted to strafe, I would step same with my back foot, then with my front foot. By doing this, you will always stay balanced and have a strong rooted foot in the ground. Here's a quick demonstration of what some of that footwork will look like. So again, if I'm advancing, I'm going to lead with my front foot and immediately bring my back foot in. If I'm retreating, it's going to be the opposite. If I'm strafing, I'm going to lead with the side foot and then bring my front foot forward. Same thing if I'm strafing backwards, or if I want to rotate. But that way I should always keep my feet around shoulder width apart, which means I'm incredibly balanced in that situation. Now let's look at the defensive forms for Makashi. Unlike some of the other forms, you're not going to be learning set defensive positions. Makashi instead relies on a defensive orbit. What this means is that the tip of my lightsaber is always going to be pointed towards my opponent, typically the chest or the neck. So when I'm using my defense, I want that tip to be remaining there. So instead of using flourishing blocks, I'm going to move the hand and the hilt of the lightsaber kind of around in like a general orbit, around, again, pointing at my opponent. That way my lightsaber is always there defensively between me and my opponent. So these blocks are parries. So they're going to be moving quick from point A to point B. So if I'm in my defensive guard position here, and I have an attack coming in from over here, I'm going to be quick and snappy like this. Now, if that attack's going to come in to the side more, again, I can just step and block that way, which now puts the attack coming at my front, which is exactly where I want it. So one of the most important things to practice is working on moving quickly between the different defensive parries in your orbit while keeping your tip more or less pointed at your opponent. Now we'll take a look at the offensive parts of Makashi. These are mostly going to consist of quick strikes and quick slashes. Everything is about speed and finesse here. So let's start off with the strikes. Strikes in Makashi are, again, moving quickly from point A to point B. So in this situation here, I'm going to quickly extend my arm out to the different attack points. Strikes typically will go towards the shoulder, the head, or the center body. Now these are also commonly combined with lunges in Makashi. So with a lunge, I'm going to step forward with my primary foot, but instead of bringing up my back foot, I'm going to lean forward into that step. So I'm going to combine that with a center strike. See how much extra reach I got from the position I was originally in? I gained an additional foot and a half of reach on that attack. Slashes will require a quick, small flourish. So if I'm in my defensive guard and I'm going to slash using a right slash, I'm going to use a small circular motion going clockwise to get that angular momentum. I don't want to flourish too widely because, again, I want my lightsaber to be pointed at my opponent as much as possible. So the entire point is just to get the angular momentum I need. Same thing with the left slash. It's just going to have a counterclockwise angle of momentum. All right, and now I'm going to go over an 8-point drill for you to practice in order to learn the basics of Makashi. So let's start off here in our defensive guard. As you'll see, my feet are perpendicular. I've got my primary foot pointed towards the same direction, my lightsaber. Right now, the camera is my opponent. So the first part is I'm going to advance forward, which means I'm going to step with my front foot, and I'm going to do a right slash. The next position, I'm going to step forward again, and I'm going to do a left slash. And then from here, I'm going to do a center strike lunge. So I'm going to lunge forward and strike center. Now in this situation, when I begin to retreat, you're going to see that I actually start with my front foot. That's only if you're starting off in a lunge. So if I need to retreat in a lunge, I'm going to start off first by sliding this foot back, and then I will begin doing my retreat. So starting off in that lunge, the next step here, I'm going to do a high parry to the right, followed by another retreat, high parry to the left, and then I'm going to step forward and turn that into a right slash before going down to my defensive guard. So just one more time, defensive guard, advance right slash, advance left slash, center strike lunge. Then I'm going to take that back, high right parry, retreat again, high left parry, advance to a right slash, and then drop it down to a defensive guard. Learn that and you'll qualify for the apprentice level videos for Makashi.